Imagine stumbling upon a forgotten mansion shrouded in mist, where a priceless crown hides a deadly curse, and only one man, Hercule Poirot, can unravel the threads of mystery before it claims another victim. Chapter 1. The Invitation to Hollow Manor. Picture this. It's a foggy evening in the English countryside, the kind where the air feels heavy with secrets. Our story begins with the legendary detective Hercule Poirot, that meticulous Belgian with his perfectly waxed mustache and razor-sharp mind, receiving an unexpected letter at his London apartment. The envelope is sealed with wax bearing an ornate, crested crown encircled by thorns. Inside, the words are penned in elegant script. Dear Monsieur Poirot, your presence is urgently requested at Hollow Manor for a matter of life and death. The curse of the hollow crown has awakened once more. Signed, Lady Evelyn Harrington. Poirot, ever the curious soul, raises an eyebrow. He's no stranger to curses and superstitions. After all, he's debunked plenty in his career. But something about this invitation intrigues him. The Harrington family is old money, tied to ancient legends. The hollow crown, he recalls from his vast knowledge of history. It's a fabled artifact said to bring fortune to its owner, but doom to those who steal it. Legends whisper of a curse dating back to the Tudor era, where a betrayed queen placed a hex on the crown, ensuring that any unworthy possessor would meet a grisly end. Poirot chuckles to himself. Curses are for the feeble-minded, but murders disguised as curses, that's his domain. He packs his bags, including his favorite silver-headed cane and a notebook for jotting down those little gray cells' insights, and boards the train to Devonshire. As the landscape blurs by, Poirot ponders the details he knows. Hollow Manor is a sprawling estate, built in the 16th century, with towers that pierce the sky like accusing fingers. Lady Evelyn, the current matriarch, is a widow in her 50s, known for her collection of rare jewels. Her husband, Lord Reginald Harrington, died under mysterious circumstances 5 years ago, officially a heart attack. But rumors swirled of the curse striking him after he acquired the crown from a shady auction in Paris. Upon arrival, the manor looms like a ghost from the mist. The butler, a stoic man named Graves, with eyes that seem to hold centuries of secrets, greets Poirot at the massive oak doors. Monsieur Poirot, Lady Evelyn awaits you in the drawing room, he intones, his voice as creaky as the floorboards. Poirot nods politely, noting the butler's trembling hands. Fear, perhaps, or guilt. Inside, the drawing room is a testament to faded glory. Velvet drapes, heavy with dust. Portraits of stern ancestors glaring down, and in the center, a glass case displaying the hollow crown itself. It's a magnificent piece, gold filigree twisted into thorns, encrusted with rubies that gleam like drops of blood. Lady Evelyn rises to greet him, her face pale and lined with worry. She's dressed in black, as if in perpetual mourning. Thank you for coming, Monsieur Poirot, she says, her voice quivering. The curse, ... it's real. Last night, my nephew Victor touched the crown during a family gathering. This morning, he was found dead in the library, poisoned, they say, but with no trace of how. Poirot's eyes narrow. Poison? That's no curse? That's clever human intervention. He asks for details, and Lady Evelyn obliges. Victor Harrington, a brash young man in his 30s, heir to the estate, had been arguing with family members about selling the crown to pay off debts. The gathering included Victor's sister, Clara, a sharp-tongued artist, their cousin, Dr. Elias Thorne, a skeptical physician, and an antique dealer, Mr. Silas Blackwood, invited to appraise the crown. Also present was the maid, young Rosie, who claims to have seen a shadowy figure near the library at midnight. Poirot begins his investigation right there, examines the crown's case. No signs of tampering, but a faint scratch on the lock catches his eye. Interesting, he murmurs. The curse does not scratch locks, Nan. Lady Evelyn gasps, but Poirot presses on. He interviews Graves first. The butler admits Victor was disliked, arrogant, spendthrift, but insists he was loyal to the family. Yet Poirot notes a hesitation when asked about the Lord's death years ago. Was it truly a heart attack or something more sinister? Poirot probes. Graves averts his eyes, muttering about old superstitions. Next, Clara Harrington enters, her paint-stained hands fidgeting. She's emotional, tears welling as she describes Victor as a bully who wanted to strip the manor of its treasures. I didn't kill him, she protests. Poirot smiles gently. Mademoiselle, everyone has secrets. What is yours? She confesses to a heated argument with Victor the night before where he threatened to cut her inheritance. Practical tip here for any aspiring detectives among you. Always listen for motives hidden in emotions. They're like clues waiting to be uncovered. Moving to the library, the scene of the crime. Poirot finds Victor's body removed by police, but the room tells its own story. A half-empty glass of brandy on the desk, a book on ancient curses open to a page about the hollow crown, and a faint smell of almond cyanide, classic poison.
Ow.
No bottle in sight, though. How was it administered? Poirot kneels, spotting a thorn-like sliver on the floor near the desk. Matches the crown's design. Ah, the curse strikes with thorns, he quips to himself. But logic prevails. Someone could have extracted a thorn, coated it in poison, and pricked Victor during the chaos of the evening. Dr. Thorne confirms the cause of death as cyanide poisoning, but scoffs at the curse. Superstitious. Nonsense, he says. Yet Poirot detects a nervousness. Thorne had access to medical supplies, including poisons for his practice. Mr. Blackwood. The dealer is evasive about his interest in the crown, admitting he'd offered a fortune for it. But Victor refused. Rosie the maid whispers of hearing whispers in the halls like ghosts, but Poirot suspects eavesdropping. As the chapter winds down, Poirot gathers the household for a preliminary discussion. Mes amis, he announces, this is no curse. It is murder, cleverly masked. The hollow crown hides not a supernatural force, but human greed and betrayal. The room falls silent, tension thick as the fog outside. Lady Evelyn pleads for answers, and Poirot promises to delve deeper. But as night falls, a scream echoes from the upper floors. Another incident? This sets the stage for what comes next, where suspicions deepen and alibis crack. Chapter 2. The midnight scream and fractured alibis. The scream pierces the night like a dagger through silk, shattering the uneasy silence in the drawing room. Everyone freezes. Lady Evelyn clutches her pearls. Clara gasps. Dr. Thorne jumps too. His feet and even the unflappable Graves pales. Poirot, calm as ever, sets down his tisane and says, Quickly, mes amis, we must investigate. The curse, it seems, does not sleep. They rush upstairs, following the sound to the guest wing, where Rosie's room door stands ajar. Inside, the young maid is huddled on the floor, trembling, pointing to the window. A ghost. She whimpers. I saw it, pale face, thorns in its hair. Staring in from the darkness, Poirot kneels beside her, his voice soothing. Mademoiselle Rosie, describe this apparition precisely. Was it man or woman? Tall or short? She stammers about a shadowy figure vanishing into the mist, but Poirot notices fresh mud on the windowsill, no ghost leaves footprints. This new twist electrifies the group. Poirot suspects it's no specter, but a flesh-hand-blood intruder. Perhaps trying to fuel the curse legend to cover their tracks. He examines the window. Latch forced open from outside, a scrap of black fabric caught on a nail. Interesting, he mutters. Our ghost wears mourning clothes. Lady Evelyn insists it's the curse manifesting, but Poirot shakes his head. Non, madame. Curses do not snag on nails. He sends Rosie to the kitchen for a restorative tea and gathers the suspects in the hallway for questioning. Practical tip. For mystery lovers, always check for physical evidence for stick grounds. The supernatural in reality, Dr. Thorne volunteers to examine Rosie for shock, but Poirot watches him closely. The doctor admits he was in his room reading medical journals when the scream happened, but his alibi is thin, no one to confirm it. Why would I scare the maid? Thorne protests. Poirot smiles enigmatically. Perhaps to distract from your access. Two poisons, doctor? Cyanide is a tool of your trade, non. Thorne flushes, revealing a grudge. Victor had blackmailed him over a past medical error. threatening to ruin his practice unless he certified the crown as cursed for insurance purposes. Motive uncovered, greed and self-preservation. Clara next claims she was sketching in the attic, inspired by the manor's gloom. She shows Poirot a charcoal drawing of the crown, thorns exaggerated like claws. Art helps me cope, she says tearfully. But Poirot spots ink on her fingers, not charcoal. Mademoiselle, sketches do not require ink. Were you perhaps writing a note? Or forging something? Clara breaks down, admitting she'd written an anonymous letter warning Victor about the curse, hoping to scare him into keeping the crown. I didn't kill him, she insists. Poirot nods thoughtfully. Fear can drive people to deception, but is it murder? Mr. Blackwood, the antique dealer, was supposedly in the billiard room alone, nursing a cigar. He laughs off the ghost sighting as hysteria, but Poirot notes ash on his cuff fresh, as if he'd been outside. Monsieur, cigars are smoked indoors here, yet your shoes have mud. Blackwood stammers about a quick stroll for fresh air, but confesses his real interest. The crown isn't just valuable, it's tied to a lost Tudor treasure map etched inside. Victor knew and refused to sell, blocking Blackwood's fortune. I offered partnership, he says, but he laughed. Poirot's gray cells whirl ambition, makes a potent poison. Graves, the butler, was in the pantry polishing silver, or so he says. His hands shake as Poirot questions him. You've served the Harringtons for decades, Graves. Did you serve Lord Reginald the fatal drink 5 years ago? The butler whispers of the old lord's obsession with the crown, how he died clutching his throat after touching it. The curse took him, sir. But Poirot presses. Or was it arsenic, disguised as curse? You have access to the cellars, where poisons might hide. Graves admits resentment. Victor planned to sack him for being too old. Loyalty fractured by betrayal. Lady Evelyn, composed but weary, says she was in her boudoir praying when the scream rang out. The crown brings only sorrow, she sighs. Poirot gently probes. Madame, your husband's death, did Victor suspect foul play? Is that why he argued with you? She reveals Victor accused her of hastening Reginald's end to inherit, but swears it was natural. Yet her safe holds documents showing debts Victor wanted to settle by selling the crown against her wishes. Family ties strained by money. As the interrogations wrap, Poirot paces the hallway, piecing clues. The ghost was likely one of them, sowing fear to mask the murder. He finds a discarded thorn in the garden below Rosie's window, poison-tipped. Tests will tell. The web tightens. He tells the group. Alibis crack like eggshells under pressure. Tension mounts as dawn breaks, with whispers of more danger. This leads us into the heart of the deception, where hidden alliances emerge and the crown's true secret surfaces. Chapter 3. The Hidden Passage and a Buried Truth. The dawn light creeps through the heavy drapes of Hollow Manor, casting long shadows that seem to whisper secrets of their own. Hercule Poirot, undeterred by the sleepless night, gathers the household. In the grand library where Victor met his end, his sharp eyes scan the room, noting every detail, the brandy glass still on the desk, the book on curses, the faint almond scent lingering in the air. He addresses the group with his characteristic calm, mise Amos. Last night's scream was no ghost, but a calculated act to deepen fear. Today we uncover what the walls of this manor hide. The group shifts uneasily, each face a mask of suspicion or dread. Poirot's plan is clear. Search the manor for physical clues that might reveal the killer's methods, starting with the library itself. A practical tip for budding sleuths watching. Always revisit the crime scene in daylight details. Mist and panic often shine under scrutiny. Poirot begins by examining the library's oak-paneled walls, his fingers tracing the intricate carvings. He pauses at a bookshelf, noticing a worn copy of Tudor legends slightly askew. Curiosity piqued, he pulls it, and with a low groan, a section of the wall swings open, revealing a narrow passage. Dust motes dance in the dim light filtering through. Mon Dieu, Poirot murmurs, a secret passage. The manor keeps its secrets well. Lady Evelyn gasps, claiming ignorance of its existence, but her eyes flicker with something recognition. Perhaps the others exchange glances, each denying knowledge. though Clara's nervous fidgeting betrays her composure. Poirot steps into the passage, cane tapping the stone floor, and beckons the group to follow. "Let us see where this leads," he says, his voice steady but laced with anticipation. The passage is damp, its walls lined with cobwebs and faint etchings of crowns and thorns hinting at its age. It winds downward, ending at a small locked door. Poirot, ever prepared, produces a small set of lock-picking tools, a detective's best friend in such moments. The door opens to a hidden chamber, barely larger than a closet, containing a dusty table, a single candle, and a leather-bound journal. The air is thick with mildew, but Poirot's focus is razor-sharp. He opens the journal, its pages yellowed, but legible, penned by Lord Reginald himself. Entries detail his obsession with the hollow crown, describing it as a key to a treasure beyond gold, not just wealth but power. One passage chills the room. The crown's curse is no myth. Touched it, and now I feel death's shadow. Someone in this house knows its secret and wants it buried with me. This revelation shifts the investigation. Poirot turns to Lady Evelyn, who clutches her shawl tightly. "Madame, your husband knew something dangerous. Did he share it with you?" She hesitates, then admits Reginald spoke of a map hidden within the crown, leading to a Tudor-era vault beneath the manor. He believed it held relics that could rewrite history or ruin the family if sold to the wrong hands. Victor, she confesses, wanted to find this vault to settle debts, but she forbade it, fearing the curse. Poirot's gray cells, could Victor's death be tied to this vault, not just the crown? The group returns to the library, where Poirot questions each suspect about the passage. Dr. Thorne, ever the skeptic, claims it's just an old servant's route, but his medical bag, left open, reveals a vial of prussic acid, another name for cyanide. "Monsieur, you carry the very poison that killed Victor," Poirot notes sharply. Thorne stammers that it's for rare treatments, but his earlier admission of Victor's blackmail looms large. Clara, meanwhile, admits sneaking into the passage as a child to play, but swears she hadn't entered it in years. Her sketchbook, however, contains a drawing of the passage's etchings dated last week. Artistic inspiration?
Poirot queries.
Eyebrow raised. Clara blushes, mumbling about nostalgia. Mr. Blackwood, the dealer, grows animated at the mention of a vault. "If it exists, it's worth millions," he says, then catches himself. Poirot pounces. "You knew of this, monsieur?" Did Victor confide? His plans? Blackwood admits Victor hinted at a treasure, but refused to share details unless Blackwood paid up front. A rejected deal could spark rage or murder. Graves, the butler, is quieter, admitting he once caught Lord Reginald emerging from the passage late at night, muttering about betrayal. "He trusted no one, not even her ladyship," Graves says, glancing at Lady Evelyn. Poirot notes the butler's loyalty seems tinged with resentment, perhaps over years of being overlooked. Rosie, recovered from her fright, whispers that she overheard Victor and Blackwood arguing in the library 2 nights ago. "Mr. Victor said he'd burn the crown before letting it leave," she says. Poirot nods, piecing together motives. Greed, fear, and family secrets intertwine. He returns to the hidden chamber alone, noticing faint scratches on the table, as if someone recently moved something heavy, a box, perhaps, or a tool. A single thorn lies in the corner, identical to those on the crown. The curse leaves clues, Poirot muses, but he knows it's human hands at work. Back in the library, Poirot gathers everyone again. This passage is no mere relic, it is the path to truth. Someone used it to move unseen, to poison, to frighten. But who? He holds up the thorn, watching faces for reactions. Clara flinches. Lorne adjusts his glasses nervously. Blackwood's eyes gleam with interest. Lady Evelyn looks faint, and Graves clenches his jaw. Poirot decides to test the crown itself next, suspecting its thorns hold more than decorative purpose. He advises caution. "The killer walks among us, and they will strike again if we do not act swiftly." As the group disperses, a faint creak echoes from the passage, unnoticed by all but Poirot. Someone is still using it. The stage is set for deeper revelations, as the detective prepares to confront the crown's deadly secret head-on. Chapter 4. The crown's deadly secret. The morning sun barely penetrates the thick fog enveloping Hollow Manor, as if the house itself resists the light of truth. Hercule Poirot stands before the glass case in the drawing room, his eyes locked. On the hollow crown, its golden thorns glint menacingly, rubies sparkling like watchful eyes. The household gathers around, their faces a mix of dread and curiosity, still shaken by the hidden passage's discovery. Poirot, with his usual flair, adjusts his bow tie and announces, "Mise amis." Today we examine the heart of this mystery, the crown itself. It is not merely a jewel, but a weapon, Nan. His words hang heavy, and Lady Evelyn grips the arm of a chair, her knuckles white. For those watching at home, here's a detective's tip. Objects at the center of a mystery often hold the key. Look closely, and they speak. Poirot requests the case be opened, and Graves, with trembling hands, produces a key. The butler's hesitation doesn't escape Poirot's notice fear or guilt. The case clicks open, and Poirot dons gloves, carefully lifting the crown. It's heavier than it looks, its craftsmanship exquisite yet ominous. He examines the thorns, noticing one slightly loose, its tip discolored with a faint greenish hue. Poison, perhaps? He muses aloud, holding it to the light. Dr. Thorne scoffs, "Nonsense, it's just tarnish." But Poirot's smile is knowing. He requests a magnifying glass, and Clara fetches one from her art supplies, her hands unsteady. Under magnification, the thorn reveals a tiny hollow pointa, perfect vessel for delivering poison, like a needle. This is no accident, Poirot declares. Someone modified this thorn to kill. The room buzzes with tension. Lady Evelyn protests that the crown has been locked away for years, untouched since Reginald's death. Poirot counters. Yet the scratch on the lock suggests recent tampering, Madame and Victor's death by cyanide. Delivered how? He theorizes the thorn could have been coated with poison and used to prick Victor during the chaotic family gathering, perhaps when he handled the crown. The almond-like scent in the library supports this, as cyanide leaves such a trace. Poirot asks Rosie to recount the gathering's events. She stammers, "Mr. Victor was showing off the crown, passing it around. Everyone touched it, even me, but I wore gloves to serve drinks." He turns to Mr. Blackwood, whose eyes haven't left the crown. "Monsieur, you appraised this recently. Did you notice this thorn?" Blackwood admits he examined it closely, but claims the thorn was intact. Poirot presses, "And the map inside. Did you see it?" Blackwood hesitates, then reveals Victor let slip about etchings inside the crown's band, visible only under specific light. Poirot requests a candle, and in its flickering glow, he tilts the crown. Faint lines appear, symbols, perhaps a map to the fabled Tudor vault. "This is why Victor died," Poirot says. Not a curse, but knowledge someone wished to silence. Suspicion shifts to Clara, who admits sketching the crown's details, including the band's etchings for her art. "I wanted to capture its history," she says, but Poirot notices her sketchbook has a page torn out. "Did you share this with anyone, mademoiselle?" She denies it, but her eyes dart to Blackwood. Poirot files this awake illusion, perhaps. Dr. Thorne, meanwhile, grows defensive when asked about cyanide. "Any doctor has access," he snaps, "but I'd hardly carry it openly." Yet Poirot recalls the vial in his bag, and Thorne's earlier admission of Victor's blackmail adds weight to his motive. Graves, questioned next, reveals a troubling detail. He cleaned the crown the morning of the gathering, noticing nothing amiss. "But," he adds quietly, "I found a small vial in the pantry, later empty, smelling bitter." Poirot's eyes gleam. "And you kept this silent, Graves?" "Da-da!" "Why?" The butler mumbles about not wanting to alarm Lady Evelyn. Poirot suspects loyalty, masking furor complicity. Lady Evelyn herself admits to handling the crown briefly that night, but only to show it to Blackwood. "I trusted him to value it, not to harm my nephew," she insists. Yet her debts and Victor's plan to sell the crown suggest she might have wanted him silenced to protect the family legacy. Poirot decides to test the thorn's poison. He carefully extracts it, wrapping it in a handkerchief, and asks Dr. Thorne to analyze it under his microscope in the Manor's small laboratory. Thorne, reluctant but cornered, agrees. The results confirm traces of cyanide, mixed with a binding agent to adhere to the thorn. Clever murder, Poirot says, disguised as a curse. He gathers everyone again, holding the thorn aloft. This was the weapon, hidden in plain sight. Who among you prepared it? Faces pale alibis. Waver. Clara accuses Blackwood of pressuring Victor. Blackwood points to Thorne's medical knowledge. Thorne blames Graves' access to the crown. As accusations fly, Poirot notices Rosie slipping toward the door. Mademoiselle, a moment he calls. She freezes, eyes wide. You saw more than you've said, Nan? Under his gentle but firm. Questioning, Rosie admits overhearing Blackwood and Victor in a heated exchange about the vault's location. Mr. Blackwood said he'd do anything to get it, she whispers. Poirot's mind races greed, opportunity, and a deadly thorn converge. The chapter closes with Poirot returning the crown to its case, but not before slipping the poisoned thorn into a sealed envelope for safekeeping. The crown has spoken, he says, but its final secret, the vault remains. We must find it before the killer does. A faint thud echoes from the passage below, suggesting someone is still moving in the shadows. The trail leads deeper, to alliances and betrayals that threaten to unravel the Harrington legacy. Chapter 5. Shadows in the vault. The air in Hollow Manor grows thicker with suspicion as the afternoon sun casts long, jagged shadows across the drawing room. Hercule Poirot, his mustache impeccably neat, despite the mounting tension, gathers the household once more. The poisoned thorn, now safely tucked in his pocket, has confirmed the murder's method. But the motive lies deeper tied to the elusive Tudor vault hinted at by the crown's etchings. Mise a mise, Poirot declares, his voice steady. The killer seeks something hidden beneath this manor. Today, we follow the crown's map to the truth. Lady Evelyn's eyes widen. Clara shifts uncomfortably. Mr. Blackwood's fingers twitch with barely concealed excitement. For you detective enthusiasts watching, here's a tip. When a treasure is at stake, watch for those who reveal too much or too little. Poirot retrieves the crown from its case, holding it under a lamp to study the etched symbols again. Faint lines form a crude map, a spiral staircase, a corridor, and a mark resembling a thorned gate. He cross-references it with the journal from the hidden chamber, which mentions a lower vault sealed since the 16th century. The passage we found yesterday, Poirot muses, it may lead us there. He leads the group back to the secret door behind the library's bookshelf, now propped open with a chair to prevent surprises. The damp stone passage feels colder. Today, its walls seeming to close in as they descend single file, Poirot's cane tapping a steady rhythm at the passage's end. The locked door yields to Poirot's lockpicking skills once more. Beyond it, the chamber opens into a wider corridor, its walls carved with faded heraldic symbols, crowns, roses, and thorns. A heavy iron gate, rusted but intact, blocks their path, its design matching the map's thorned mark.
Ow.
This is it, Poirot says, noting a keyhole shaped like a star. He turns to Lady Evelyn. Madame, does such a key exist? She hesitates, then admits Reginald kept a star-shaped key in his study, hidden in a false-bottomed drawer. Graves is sent to fetch it, returning with a tarnished silver key that fits perfectly. The gate creaks open, revealing a stone staircase. Spiraling into darkness, the group descends cautiously, guided by Poirot's pocket torch. At the bottom lies a vaulted chamber, its air stale and heavy. Dust-covered crates and ancient tapestries line the walls. The centerpiece is a stone pedestal bearing a locked iron box, engraved with the same thorned crown motif. Poirot's eyes gleam. The treasure of the hollow crown, perhaps? Blackwood steps forward eagerly, but Poirot halts him. Patience, monsieur. Traps are not only for legends. He examines the box, finding no visible lock, but a slot shaped like the crown's largest thorn. The crown itself is the key, he realizes, but decides against using it, yet too dangerous with a killer among them. Questioning resumes. Blackwood admits he researched Tudor vaults, believing this one holds relics worth a fortune, perhaps even a lost scepter tied to the crown. Victor knew its value, he says, but refused to share. Poirot notes his greed, asking, "Did you try?" to force his hand. Blackwood denies it, but his earlier argument with Victor, overheard by Rosie, suggests otherwise. Clara, meanwhile, confesses she followed Victor into the passage days ago, curious about his obsession with the vault. He was sketching the gate, she says, producing a torn page from her sketchbook showing the thorn design. Poirot wonders if she saw more than she admits. Dr. Thorne claims ignorance of the vault but grows agitated when Poirot mentions the cyanide vial again. "I told you, it's for medical use," he snaps. Poirot counters, "Yet Victor's blackmail threatened your career. Did you seek the vault to buy his silence?" Thorne's silence is telling. Graves, ever loyal, says he guarded the manor's secrets but never entered the vault. Yet Poirot notices mud on his shoes fresh, not from yesterday's search. "You've been here recently, Graves. Why?" The butler mumbles about checking for intruders after Rosie's scare. Lady Evelyn, visibly shaken, reveals a family legend. The vault holds not just treasure, but a document proving the Harringtons' claim to the crown is tainted, stolen from a rival family centuries ago. Victor wanted to sell it, she says, but exposure would ruin us. Poirot ponders if she killed to protect the family name. Rosie, trembling, admits she overheard Victor planning to open the vault the night he died, whispering to someone in the library. "I couldn't see who," she says, but Poirot suspects she's holding back out of fear. Poirot examines the iron box closely, finding scratches around the thorn slot, recent attempts to open it. He hypothesizes Victor tried to access it, perhaps triggering a confrontation with the killer. A faint smell of almonds lingers near the pedestal, suggesting cyanide was handled here too.
"Ain't the vault is a stage," Poirot says, "where greed and fear played out."
He gathers the group, warning, "Someone among you knows this box is secret and killed to keep it." But the truth cannot stay buried. As they ascend, a stone shifts underfoot, revealing a small compartment with a single ruby identical to those on the crown. Poirot pockets it, suspecting it's another clue. "Back in the library," he announces. "The vault holds answers, but danger too. We must tread carefully, for the killer watches our every move." A distant clatter from the passage suggests they're not alone, setting the stage for a confrontation where masks will fall. Chapter 6. The Rubies Whispered. The clatter from the passage still echoes in the minds of the household as they gather once more in Hollow Manor's dimly lit library. Hercule Poirot, his sharp gaze scanning each face, holds the ruby he found in the vault's hidden compartment, its blood-red facets catching the firelight. "This little gem," he says, twirling it between gloved fingers, "is no mere ornament. It is a piece of the puzzle, a whisper from the past pointing to the killer." The group, Lady Evelyn, Clara, Dr. Thorne, Mr. Blackwood, Graves, and Rosie shifts uneasily, their eyes darting between the ruby and each other. The air is thick with distrust, and Poirot senses the killer's growing desperation. "Before you, mystery fans watching, here's a tip. Small clues like this ruby often unlock the biggest secrets. Pay attention to what seems insignificant." Poirot begins by examining the ruby under his magnifying glass, noting its cut matches the crown's stones precisely. "This was part of the hollow crown once," he declares, perhaps removed to hide its significance. He recalls the journal's mention of a treasure beyond gold and the family's tainted claim to the crown. Could the ruby be a marker? A signal of the vault's true contents? He turns to Lady Evelyn, whose pale face betrays her nerves. "Madame, you spoke of a document in the vault that could ruin the Harringtons. Does this ruby relate to it?" She hesitates, then admits an old family tale. One ruby was removed from the crown centuries ago, entrusted to a loyal servant as proof of the Harringtons' theft from a rival noble house. "It was lost," she says, "or so we thought." This sparks Poirot's curiosity. He hypothesizes the ruby was hidden in the vault to keep it from prying eyes. Perhaps Victor found it, threatening exposure. Poirot questions Clara next, whose sketches included the crown's rubies in vivid detail. "Mademoiselle, did you see this stone before?" Clara shakes her head, but her trembling hands betray her. She admits finding a ruby in Victor's room days before his death, tucked in a velvet pouch. "I thought he stole it from the crown," she says, "but I didn't tell anyone." Poirot's eyebrow arches. "And you kept this silent? Why?" Clara confesses she feared Victor would accuse her of theft to cut her inheritance. Her secrecy adds another layer to her motive. Dr. Thorne, growing impatient, insists the ruby is irrelevant. "It's just a jewel, not evidence." But Poirot counters then, "Why decor? Does your medical bag contain jeweler's tools? Or are you planning to pry more stones free?" Thorne flushes, explaining he uses them for precision work, but Poirot recalls his blackmail by Victor. "A man cornered might seek treasure to escape," he notes. Thorne's denial is sharp, but his nervous glance at the ruby suggests more. Mr. Blackwood, meanwhile, can't hide his fascination. "That ruby's worth a fortune alone," he says, then catches himself. Poirot probes. "You knew Victor had it, Nan? Did you offer to buy it?" Blackwood admits Victor teased him with the ruby, hinting it was a key to the vault's riches, but refused to sell. Greed, Poirot notes, is a powerful spark for murder. Graves, questioned about the ruby, claims he never saw it, but his muddy shoes from the vault linger in Poirot's mind. "You were in the vault recently, Graves? Did you find this stone and hide it?" the butler stammers, admitting he searched the passage after Victor's death, fearing the curse had stirred. "I found nothing but dust," he insists, but Poirot notices a faint red smudge on his kaffruby dust. Perhaps Rosie, trembling under Poirot's gaze, reveals she saw Victor holding a ruby the night he died, whispering to someone in the shadows. "I thought it was Mr. Blackwood," she says, "but it was too dark." Poirot senses her fear hides more, perhaps. She knows the second figure's identity. To test his theory, Poirot stages a small experiment. He places the ruby on the library desk, announcing, "This will remain here, under watch, till the killer reveals themselves." He instructs Graves to lock the library doors, but secretly keeps a second ruby of fake from his pocket, swapping it when no one looks. Hours later, a crash echoes from the library. Rushing in, they find the glass case shattered, the fake ruby gone. Footprints lead to the passage, and Poirot smiles. The killer took the bait, thinking it the real ruby. They seek to control the vault's secret. The footprints, small and narrow, rule out Blackwood and Thorne, but point to Clara Rosie, or Lady Evelyn. Poirot gathers the women. Clara admits she checked the library, fearing the ruby would be stolen. Lady Evelyn confesses she touched the case, worried about the family's honor. Rosie, near tears, says she heard the crash and ran to check but saw no one. Poirot notices her apron has a fresh tear, matching the passage's rough walls. "Mademoiselle Rosie, you are more involved than you claim," he says gently. She breaks, admitting she followed someone into the passage that night, someone carrying a ruby, but refuses to name them, terrified. The chapter ends with Poirot holding the real ruby, its glow a beacon of truth. "This stone is a witness," he says, and it points to a heart driven by fear or greed. "We are close, mes amis, but the killer grows bold." A faint creak from the passage suggests another move in this deadly game, leading to a confrontation where the ruby's final secret will unravel. Chapter 7. The trap in the passage. The creak from the passage lingers like a warning as the household stands in the library. Yes. The shattered glass case, a stark reminder of the killer's audacity. Hercule Poirot, his eyes sharp as ever, holds the real ruby, its crimson glow, a silent accuser. "Hush, Mies. Amos," he says, his voice calm but commanding. "The thief who took the false ruby has revealed their desperation. Now we set a trap to catch them." The group, Lady Evelyn, Clara, Dr. Thorne, Mr. Blackwood, Graves, and Rosie, exchanges wary glances, each wondering who among them dared to break the case. The air hums with tension, and Poirot knows the killer is close to cracking.
"For you?"
Sleuths at home, here's a tip. A trap works best when it plays on the culprit's own desires, greed. Fear or guilt will draw them out. Poirot begins by outlining his plan. He announces he'll place the real ruby in the hidden chamber below, accessible only through the passage and guarded overnight. The killer seeks this ruby to unlock the vault's secrets, he says, and they will come for it. In truth, he plans to use another decoy, a polished red glass bead from his pocket, while keeping the real ruby safe. He instructs Graves to lock all manor exits, ensuring no one leaves, and asks Dr. Thorne to prepare a sedative for emergencies, watching the doctor's reaction closely. Thorne complies, but his hands shake slightly, betraying nerves. Poirot notes this, recalling Thorne's access to cyanide and his motive tied to Victor's blackmail. The group disperses, ostensibly to rest, but Poirot senses eyes watching his every move. He descends into the passage alone, carrying the decoy bead, and places it on the stone pedestal in the vaulted chamber, under the faint glow of a lantern. He hides nearby, in a shadowed alcove, his cane at the ready. The passage's damp chill seeps into his bones, but his mind is alert, piecing together clues: the poisoned thorn, the ruby, the vault's document, and Rosie's terrified silence. Someone here knows more than they admit, he murmurs. Adjusting his position to stay unseen, hours pass in silence, the manor's creaks and groans the only sounds. Then, soft footsteps echo down the passage. A figure emerges, cloaked in a dark shawl, moving cautiously toward the pedestal. Poirot holds his breath as they reach for the decoy bead, their hand trembling.
That lantern.
The lantern's light reveals Clara's face, her eyes wide with desperation. Mademoiselle. Poirot steps forward, his voice sharp. Clara gasps, dropping the bead, which clatters on the stone. I wasn't stealing, she stammers. I wanted to protect it. Poirot's gaze is piercing. Protect or possess. You drew the crown's etchings. You knew of the ruby. Did you kill Victor to keep? The vault's secret. Clara collapses to her knees, sobbing. She confesses she followed Victor into the passage the night he died, hoping to learn about the vault. He was meeting someone, she says, arguing about the ruby and the document. I heard a struggle, then silence. She swears she fled, fearing the curse, and didn't see the killer. Poirot presses. Who was with him? Clara shakes her head, too scared to name them. Her torn sketchbook and ink-stained hands flash in Poirot's mind. Perhaps she wrote more than sketches. Maybe a warning or a plan, before he can question. Further, another sound interrupts, a muffled thud from the passage's entrance. Poirot pulls Clara into the alcove, whispering, Silence, mademoiselle. A second figure enters, moving swiftly, their face obscured by a hood. They pause at the pedestal, noticing the bead is gone, and mutter a curse. Poirot recognizes the voice, Rosie, the maid. He steps out, startling her. Mademoiselle Rosie, you follow the ruby like a moth to flame. Why? Rosie freezes, her apron still torn from the passage's walls. I thought it was stolen. Again, she says, but her eyes dart nervously. Poirot recalls her overhearing Victor's argument. You saw the killer, Non? Name them? Rosie breaks, tears streaming. It was Mr. Blackwood, she whispers. I saw him with Victor, holding the crown, the night he died. He looked angry, like he'd do anything. Poirot nods, filing this away, but suspects Rosie's fear hides more. Perhaps she's protecting someone else. He escorts both women back to the library, where the others wait, summoned by Graves. Blackwood protests when accused, claiming he only argued with Victor about the vault's value. I never touched the crown that night, he insists. But Poirot notes his muddy boots, fresh from the passage. Lady Evelyn, pale as ever, admits she suspected Blackwood's greed, but trusted him as a family friend. Dr. Thorne, meanwhile, grows. Agitated, accusing Clara of fabricating stories to deflect blame, Graves remains silent, but his clenched fists suggest he knows more about the passage's visitors. Poirot gathers the group, holding the decoy bead aloft. This trap has revealed much, he says. 2 came for the ruby, but the killer's heart beats among you all. The vault's document is the key someone fears its truth. As the group disperses, Poirot keeps the real ruby hidden, sensing the killer will strike again to secure it. A faint rustle from the passage suggests another shadow moves within, setting the stage for a revelation that will crack the case wide open. Chapter 8. The Document of Doom. The rustle from the passage fades into an eerie silence as Hercule Poirot gathers the household in the grand drawing room of Hollow Manor, the hollow crown gleaming ominously in its case. The real ruby remains hidden in his pocket, a secret weapon in his quest for truth. The faces before him: Lady Evelyn, Clara, Dr. Thorne, Mr. Blackwood, Graves, and Rosier, etched with fear and suspicion, each aware the killer is among them. Poirot's voice cuts through the tension like a blade. "Me's amiss. The ruby has spoken, and the vault's document is the heart of this mystery. Tonight we uncover its truth. For you detective enthusiasts at home, a tip: when secrets are buried in documents, they often reveal not just facts, but the fears of those who hide them." Poirot begins by revisiting the vault's iron box, which he believes requires the crown's largest thorn to open. He proposes returning to the vault, but with a twist. He'll carry a decoy crown, crafted from his own collection of theatrical props, to lure the killer into revealing themselves. The real crown stays safe, he says, but the killer will act if they believe the document is within reach. He instructs Graves to fetch tools to pry open the box, watching the butler's reaction. Graves complies, but his slow steps suggest reluctance or foreknowledge. Poirot also asks Dr. Thorne to bring his medical kit in case of accidents. Noting Thorne's unease at the mention of poisons, the group descends into the passage, the air colder and heavier than before. The vaulted chamber feels like a tomb, the iron box on its pedestal, a silent challenge. Poirot places the decoy crown on the box, its fake thorns gleaming convincingly in the lantern's light. He inserts the largest thorn into the slot, and with a click, the box opens, revealing a brittle parchment sealed with wax. The group gasps, but Poirot remains calm, lifting the document carefully. It's a 16th century deed, written in Latin, proclaiming the Harringtons' ancestors stole the hollow crown from a rival family. The Dunmores sparking the curse legend. This, Poirot says, is what Victor died to protect or expose. He questions Lady Evelyn first. "Madame, you knew this document's power. Did you kill to keep it hidden?" She trembles, admitting she feared ruin if the Dunmore claim surfaced, as it could strip the Harringtons of their estate. "Victor wanted to sell it to historians," she says, "but I begged him to stop." Her Moto family honor grows. Stronger, Clara next confesses she saw Victor with the document days before his death, copying its text. "He said it would free us from debt," she says, but her torn sketchbook suggests she might have kept a copy for herself. Poirot wonders if she planned to betray Victor. Mr. Blackwood's eyes light up at the document's value. "It's a historical goldmine," he says, admitting he offered Victor a fortune to reveal it. Poirot probes, "And when he refused, did you use the poison thorn?" Blackwood denies it, but Rosie's accusation that she saw him with Victor hangs over him. Dr. Thorne, defensive, claims the document is irrelevant to medicine, but Poirot recalls his blackmail by Victor. "This deed could have bought your freedom, non." Thorne's silence is damning. Graves, questioned about the vault, admits he guarded it for Reginald, who feared the document's exposure. "I swore to protect the family," he says, but Poirot notices his hands clench loyalty or guilt. Rosie, trembling, reveals more. She saw Blackwood and Victor handling a parchment in the library. But another figure lingered in the shadows. "I thought it was Graves," she whispers, "but it was too tall." Poirot's mind received someone else was involved. He stages a test, announcing he'll burn the document to end the curse, watching for reactions. Blackwood lunges forward, shouting, "You can't destroy it." While Clara gasps and Thorne grips his bag tightly, Lady Evelyn faints, and Graves catches her, his face unreadable. Rosie, however, slips toward the passage, as if to flee. Poirot halts her. "Mademoiselle, you know who was with Victor and Blackwood. Speak." Rosie breaks, sobbing. "It was Lady Evelyn. I saw her in the library, whispering to Victor about the document." She looked furious. Lady Evelyn, revived, denies it, claiming she only warned Victor of the curse. But Poirot notices a wax seal on her ring, matching the documents a clue. She handled it recently. He hypothesizes Victor's plan to sell the document threatened the family. So someone, perhaps Lady Evelyn, used the poisoned thorn to silence him, framing the curse. As the group returns to the library, Poirot keeps the document close, sensing danger. He plants a fake parchment in the box, leaving it slightly ajar, and hides nearby. Late that night, a figure creeps into the vault, reaching for the decoy. Poirot springs forward, revealing Dr. Thorne, his medical bag open, a syringe in hand. "Doctor, you seek to destroy evidence," Thorne stammers, claiming he wanted to protect the family. Poirot's trap has caught another suspect, but the true killer remains elusive. "The document is spoken," he says, "but one final secret waits." A faint whisper from the passage hints at another move, leading to a climactic unmasking. Chapter 9. The mask falls. The whisper from the passage lingers like a ghost's breath as Hercule Poirot stands in the vaulted chamber, the fake parchment still in Dr. Thorne's trembling hands. The air in Hollow Manor is thick with betrayal, and the household, Lady Evelyn, Clara, Mr. Blackwood, Graves, Rosie, and now Thorne, gathers in the library under Poirot's watchful eye. The real Tudor deed, safely tucked in his inner pocket alongside the ruby, pulses with the weight of centuries-old secrets. "Mes amis," Poirot says, his voice a velvet blade. The killer grows reckless. "Tonight we unmask them. Is Grey?" Cells hum, piecing together the poisoned thorn, the ruby, the document, and the tangled motives of greed, fear, and loyalty. For you mystery buffs watching, here's a tip. The truth often hides in the smallest slip of glance, a word, a moment of panic. Poirot begins by laying out the evidence. He holds up the fake parchment, letting the group believe it's the real one. "This document," he says, "proves the Harringtons stole the hollow crown, a secret worth killing for. But who struck first?" He recounts the clues. Victor's cyanide poisoning via a hollowed thorn, the ruby hidden in vault, the secret passage used to move unseen, and Rosie's sighting of Lady Evelyn and Blackwood with Victor the night he died. Each suspect's motive glimmers: Lady Evelyn's fear of ruin, Clara's inheritance, Blackwood's greed, Thorne's blackmail, Graves' loyalty, Rosie's fear. One of you, Poirot says, used the curse as a mask. He starts with, "Dr. Thorne, caught with the fake parchment. Doctor, your syringe suggests you meant to destroy evidence or worse." Thorne, pale, insists he only wanted to protect the family, claiming Victor's blackmail drove him to desperation. "I thought the document would free me," he admits, but denies murder. Poirot notes his access to cyanide and jeweler's tools, perfect for modifying the crown's thorn. Yet Thorne's panic seems genuine. Perhaps he's a pawn, not the mastermind. Lady Evelyn, her composure fraying, admits she argued with Victor about the document. "He wanted to sell our shame," she says, her voice breaking. "I begged him to stop, but I didn't kill him." Poirot points to the wax seal on her ring, matching the documents. "You handled it recently, madam. Did you hide it to save the family?" She swears she only saw it years ago with Reginald, but her trembling hands suggest more. Poirot wonders if her maternal instinct turned deadly to protect the Harrington legacy. Clara, tearful, confesses to copying the document's text for her sketches, hoping to sell her art to historians. "I needed money," she says, "but I loved Victor, even if he was cruel." Poirot recalls her torn sketchbook and ink-stained hands. "Did you write a warning, mademoiselle, or a plan?" She shakes her head, but her glance at Blackwood betrays a connection. Blackwood, questioned next, admits he pressured Victor to reveal the document's secrets, offering a share of the vault's riches. "I never touched the crown," he insists, but Rosie's testimony, seeing him with Victor, casts doubt. His muddy boots and ruby dust on his cuff tighten the net. Graves. Nope. The butler grows quieter, his loyalty to the Harringtons unwavering. Poirot presses. "You cleaned the crown, you knew the passage, you found an empty vial. Did you serve poison instead of tea?" Graves flinches, admitting he resented Victor's plan to sack him. "I protected this house for decades," he says, "but I'd never kill." Yet his muddy shoes and red-smudged cuff linger in Poirot's mind to many coincidences. Rosie, under Poirot's gentle but relentless gaze, cracks further. I saw Lady Evelyn give Victor a drink that night, she whispers, before Mr. Blackwood joined him. It smelled strange, like almonds. The room gasps. Lady Evelyn protests. It was only brandy. But Poirot recalls the library's glass with cyanide traces. He stages his final trap, announcing, I will lock the real document in the vault. Tonight, unguarded, the killer will act. In truth, he keeps it on him, placing another decoy in the iron box, late that night. Poirot hides in the passage, his torch dimmed. Footsteps approach, and a figure opens the box, seizing the fake parchment. Poirot steps forward, revealing Graves, his face ashen. Monsieur Graves, you seek to destroy the truth? The butler collapses, confessing he laced Victor's brandy with cyanide, supplied by Thorn, to stop him from selling the document. I did it for Lady Evelyn, he sobs. She didn't know, but I couldn't let the family fall. Poirot nods, his trap complete, but senses a deeper hand at play. Graves. Loyalty seems manipulated. He gathers the household, revealing Graves' confession, but holding back. Graves acted, but was he alone? Lady Evelyn's faint gasp and Thorn's clenched jaw suggest more. The true mastermind, Poirot knows, orchestrated this from the shadows. As dawn breaks, a scream from the vault signals one final twist, ready to unveil the curse's last secret. Chapter 10. The curse unraveled. The scream from the vault cuts through the pre-dawn stillness of Hollow Manor, sending a shiver through the household gathered in the library. Hercule Poirot, his mustache as impeccable as his resolve, wastes no time. Mise Amos, the final act begins, he declares, leading the group. Lady Evelyn, Clara, Dr. Thorne, Mr. Blackwood, and Rossett award the passage. Graves, still reeling from his confession of poisoning Victor, is under watch, but Poirot senses the butler's admission was only part of the truth. The real ruby and Tudor deed remain safely hidden in his pocket while his gray cells churn, connecting every clue: the poisoned thorn, the ruby, the document, and the tangled web of motives. For you mystery lovers watching, here's a final tip. The truth lies where all threads converge. Follow the smallest clue to the heart of the crime. The group descends into the vaulted chamber, where Rosie stands trembling by the iron box, pointing to a crumpled figure on the stone floor. Mr. Blackwood, unconscious. A syringe beside him. Dr. Thorne rushes to check his pulse, declaring he's alive, but drug sedative, not cyanide. Poirot's eyes narrow. Second attempt at murder, disguised as the curse. But who? He examines the scene. The fake parchment lies torn beside Blackwood, and a faint scratch on his hand suggests another poisoned thorn. Poirot retrieves it, noting its greenish-tipped cyanide again. The killer grows desperate, he says, to silence those who know too much. Poirot gathers everyone around, his voice steady. Let us unravel this curse once and for all. He begins with Graves' confession. The butler admitted lacing Victor's brandy with cyanide, believing he protected Lady Evelyn's honor. But Poirot reveals a twist. Graves, you were manipulated. Someone supplied the poison and stoked your fears. He turns to Dr. Thorne, whose medical bag held cyanide and jeweler's tools. Tudor, you crafted the poisoned thorn Nan, and gave Graves the means to kill. Thorne pales, admitting he supplied the cyanide under duress. Victor's blackmail over his medical error pushed him to act. I didn't kill him, Thorne insists. I only helped Graves. But Poirot's gaze shifts to Lady Evelyn, whose wax-sealed ring and knowledge of the document make her central. Madame, you knew the deed's shame would ruin the Harringtons. Did you orchestrate Victor's death? She collapses into a chair, sobbing. I only wanted to protect our legacy, she whispers. I told Graves to scare Victor, not kill him. Poirot nods, piecing it together. Lady Evelyn's subtle encouragement, fueled by fear of the Dunmore claim, drove Graves to murder, believing it was his duty. The poisoned thorn, crafted by Thorne, was meant as a warning, but became lethal in Graves' hands. Clara, trembling, admits her role. She copied the document to sell her art, hoping to escape Victor's control, but hid her actions out of fear. I didn't know about the poison, she says. Rosie, tearful, confesses she saw Lady Evelyn and Graves whispering before Victor's death,
Out.
but stayed silent to protect her job. Blackwood, reviving, admits he pressured Victor for the document, hoping to profit from the vault's relics, but denies murder. "Someone attacked me tonight," he croaks, pointing to Rosie. Poirot shakes his head. "Nan, monsieur. The true killer aimed to silence you." Poirot reveals the final piece. The attack on Blackwood was meant to frame Rosie, whose torn apron and passage visits made her a convenient scapegoat. But the syringe's sedative traces back to Thorn's bag, and the Thorn's craftsmanship matches his tools. "Dr. Thorn," Poirot says, "you tried to eliminate Blackwood, fearing he'd expose your role in supplying the poison." Thorn breaks, confessing he acted to protect himself after Victor's death, believing Blackwood knew too much. "I never meant for murder," he cries, "only survival." Poirot holds up the real deed in ruby. The curse was a lie, a mask for human greed and fear. Lady Evelyn's desperation, Graves' loyalty, Thorn's panic, these wove the web. That killed Victor. He hands the deed to Lady Evelyn. "Publish it, madame. Let the truth heal your family's shame." She nods, tears falling, as Graves and Thorn are restrained, awaiting justice. The crown, stripped of its poison, returns to its case. Its curse broken by logic. As the sun rises, Poirot prepares to leave Hollow Manor, his work done. "The little gray cells triumph," he says with a smile. To you viewers, if you've enjoyed this tale of mystery, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment your favorite clue below. The truth is out there, waiting for your own gray cells to uncover it.